Here we are. It's your boy Jake Foley, dailyfantasyfire.com. I'm here with Cage Warriors Light Heavyweight Champion, the newest member of the UFC Light Heavyweight division, Modestas Bukauskas. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you, mate. How you doing?
You know, I'm really excited for this interview. I cannot wait for July 15th, man. You're going to be one of the first people to go to Fight Island. That has got to be exciting.
Oh, yeah, very exciting, man. To be honest, when I first got a fight announced for myself, or it didn't actually even get announced like properly, I was supposed to fight on May 16th in San Diego. And obviously, I was really actually quite looking forward to make my debut on the American market, to be honest. But then, obviously, when that fell through and then they were looking to rebook me a fight, of course, what better replacement could you have than Yas Island in Abu Dhabi with, being dubbed as the Fight Island, the mystery place that everyone's been wanting to know, and finally actually getting on it. So it's really nice and really cool to be on such a historic event now, because this will go down in history as breaking through boundaries and stuff like that with Dana White, persevering and getting through hard times. So yeah, mate, like I say, what better way to have a debut than at such a place like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be insane. I want to hop in a little time portal right now, and I want to ask you, how did your MMA journey begin? Step one, how did you even get into it?
Right, so as many people may or may not know, my dad was actually a fighter back in the day as well. This was when when mixed martial arts pretty much was still called No Holds Barred. And he was actually the Soviet Union heavyweight no holds barred champion. So, fighting, as you can say, is in my blood. So, he started off with a style that's very similar, basically a mix between Sambo, kickboxing, and like basically a mix of his own kind of style. And then, when I, sort of grew up a little bit and I was about 5 or whatever, I saw him like training and like hitting blocks of wood with his bare fists and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then he starts doing a couple kicks in the air, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, Dad. And then he was like, yeah, why don't you try? And then we sort of just messed around a little bit, and then literally in about a month it got very serious very quickly. He was like, right, now you must train hard. You know what I mean? Like, it was very, it got very serious very quickly. But obviously, he must have saw potential in me. Otherwise, he wouldn't have, started training me so hard, at such a young age. But then, I saw that I had pretty decent talent at it, and then we actually started competing in kickboxing in the beginning. He taught me all the Sambo stuff already, so I already had a good grasp of what the MMA type stuff was going to be, because we had all the throws, all the leg locks, all the all the ground stuff. So. But I mainly competed in kickboxing at the beginning. I actually won the British Kickboxing Championship for 4 different age groups. My last one being when I was 14, when I wasn't even training properly. Like, I literally took a bit of a hiatus when I was about 11, 12 to actually play basketball. And and then I sort of my parent, well, it wasn't necessarily my dad, but more my mum was sort of saying, listen, why don't you try other sports and see how it goes? And I did tennis first, then I went to basketball, and I actually got pretty decent at it. And then next thing you know, obviously still competed in kickboxing, still trained it a little bit, but like I said, not training it fully from like about 11. I went off to America, actually. I went off to the States, to Louisiana, when I was 16 years old, and ended up going to high school there for 2 years. So my junior and senior years of high school, I went to America, and I was ineligible to play the first year, but then I was absolutely fine. So I played basically basketball in my senior year of high school, and we actually got to the state semi-final just because our team was like very well known in the state for always doing well. We had a really good coach. But yeah, and then I actually, funny enough, I tried American football. I tried my hand at American football a little bit. I actually ended up starting after, after never.
What position?
In my life, I played defensive end.
All right.
It's mad because I was actually quite a screw. Like, I used to think I was massive, and the next thing you know, I'm actually quite scrawny. But I had fast hands, and I was relatively quick on my. And I was, I was quite aggressive. So But I had to stop playing halfway through the season just because it overlapped with basketball. And I'm like, if I went there for basketball, I need to concentrate on that. So I ended up, playing about 4 or 5 games and then I stopped. But even then, I still had, I think, the third most tackles on the team or whatever. So, it was a great experience. I had an amazing time. It was a great thing. But then, there was always the question, what are you going to do now that you're 18? You just finished high school. I didn't really have many offers on the table in terms of scholarships. So I had maybe one D3 school like sort of scout me for basketball, but that was about it. And then, so my dad was like, listen, you've got the skills, you've got the talent, you're an athlete. This is your last chance to make your dream of being a pro athlete come true. So, why don't you come back to MMA? And then, so as soon as I was 18, got back, and then I got straight back into the training again. And at this point, the game had evolved so much. So obviously there's quite a lot to learn. But yeah, that's pretty much how I started my MMA journey. And then, since 18, I've never really looked back.
And did your dad always want you to be a fighter? Or did he support you playing basketball? Because as being a Soviet Union champion, I would assume he would have not wanted nothing more but have a son as a fighter.
Yeah, I think that was obviously in his heart. I think he always wanted me to carry on fighting, even though, like I said, I took time away from it. But I think at the same time, it gave me, attributes in different areas. He just wanted me to be happy, and he saw I had like a good skill set for basketball. But we sort of projected that I was going to be 6'6", because I grew pretty tall when I was very young, and then next thing you know, I got to like 6'3", and then that's it, just never grew an inch. So it's very hard sort of trying to find the best position, and wanting to go to college and stuff like that. So I think always deep down he wanted me, he kind of felt bad that I didn't, he kind of wanted me probably to continue fighting, but inevitably I still fell back to the same thing anyway. So obviously he's extremely happy now that I decided to come back and really take it on full swing, and pretty much carry on his name, but now in the modern day era. So yeah, man, like I say, I think he's always been a massive influence for everything athletically. But in America, you lot have it good. I mean, listen, your athletic programs are next level.
Yeah.
The good things, I became way more athletic. I became more explosive. I became a lot more muscular. I mean, listen, my bench max when I went out there when I was 16 was like 185. And I was like, and looking at some of the other players, I'm like, this is horrendous. By the time American football season was over, by the time we finished strength and conditioning, I left there with a bench max of about 255. So, I packed on quite a lot of strength and quite a lot of muscle as I went out there. And, I learned how to power clean properly and stuff like that. So all those things just, funneled their way to me becoming a much better athlete now. So I'm very grateful that I actually did go out there.
And so let me ask you about that. So you finally decide that MMA is for you. You get into it more. You find yourself in Albuquerque at Jackson Wink, working with the likes of Andre Arlovsky and John Jones. What was it like being a 21-year-old training with world-class fighters?
Well, so I went 7-1 as an amateur. I won 2 titles. So I won the title, and then I defended it once for the promotion that I was fighting for. And then literally no one wanted them to fight me at that point, and I was only 20. And then it got to a point where I'm like, Dad, what should we do? He goes, listen, you got to turn pro. There's no one who wants to fight you at amateur. So at 21, I turned pro. And actually, before I went even to Jackson's, before I had my pro debut, I actually went out to Team Nogueira in Brazil, just because my sponsor at the time had connections there. And, we literally got thrown into the lion's den, but, we earned everyone's respect, and we had some crazy experiences. I got to spar in front of Anderson Silva. I got to spar, Rafael Fajal, who's, or Rafael Cabrera, who was a strike force light heavyweight champion. I got to box with him. I got to train with a lot of next level guys. So, I already had some good experiences out there when I went, and even earning their respect after, going out there and proving myself was just a showing that, I'm meant to do this. And then I went on I won my pro debut. And then before my second pro fight, that's when I first went out to Jackson's. And at that point, I mean, listen, when you go into the room, and at that point, I think there wasn't as many people there because the gym just opened, like their newest one. And but Arlovsky was there, and we ended up sparring, and then he's like, "Oh, come train with me every day," and he took me out to lunch, and also he paid for me to stay another week as well to help him.
God.
Also help myself, so it was great. So the guys are very respectful, they're very nice, they they train hard, but like they look after you. So it was really nice. I really felt like I had quite a bond with Arlovsky when I went the first time, and it was good that they saw potential in me. And then it was after that I won 3 in a row after that, so then I was 4-0. And then I came back to Jackson's, so I'd compiled a bit of a pro record. And then so this was, still, I went out there literally when I just turned 22. I think a day after my birthday, I went out. I went out there again, and this time round, obviously John Jones was there, and I had a whole load of household names. You had Philip Hawes, you had Donald Cerrone, you had like I say, Arlovsky. You had a lot of like really, really good guys. You had Cody East as well, who was out there at the time. So I mean, listen, when John Jones first came in the room, and I think word had probably circulated around that there was a striker from England, that's good and stuff, and because already when he walked onto the room, like he sort of looked at me and like introduced himself, I introduced myself, and it was crazy. I was completely starstruck because I'm like, bloody hell, this is John Jones standing in front of me, like
as if he had to introduce himself. If he had to introduce himself.
Like exactly. I'm like, I already know who you are. I literally had to like slap myself. I'm like, is this even real? And then we've got to drilling and stuff like that. And then like, listen, at the end of the day, I pay massive respect to all these amazing athletes. So I'm going to train with them to try and get ourselves better, not to try and get myself famous by trying to hurt someone. So I think from that there's a mutual respect, and then I ended up being his main sparring partner leading up to his Ovin St. Preux fight. So, we literally trained all the time. We had, we did a lot of jiu-jitsu. We had, kickboxing rounds. We had MMA rounds. And it was really good because at that point, he saw, a lot of good stuff in me. And he was such a respectful guy, such a genuinely lovely guy, a very good character. I mean, it's completely different to what you would hear on the media about, done, and he does like to he does like to relax, he does like to party, but at the same time he is still a very mature and a very nice understanding guy as well. And we had some great training together, so it was an amazing experience because what that really showed me was that I can fight on the world level. Maybe at the time I wasn't ready, but it shows me that I'm meant to be fighting at the top. If I can hang in there with these guys and I'm 22, what's to say what's going to happen when I'm, like now, 26, 27, when I really like mold myself into the fighter that I am. And, there was still plenty of stuff I needed to work on anyways at that point. So, it's all given me a boost of confidence and it makes me feel ready for when the time will come that I'll get called up to the UFC.
And so you were training at Jackson Wink, you eventually dropped 2 fights, and you took 2 years off from competition. At that time, what were the main things that you improved on? What did you feel like you really needed to step away and just like get yourself back together?
I think a lot of it was mentally. Mentally, I don't, I had a girlfriend at the time that I think, sort of, not to say that she was a bad person or anything like that, but, I think it sort of drew me away from my goals a little bit. That I was always sort of, at that point, I was always looking past the fight as opposed to looking at the fight in front of me and trying to get excited about the moment. I was more excited about what's going to happen afterwards. What am I going to do after? What am I going to eat afterwards? As opposed to I need to get in there and do the business. And I sort of like I would shy away. I would be like the sportsman, not like the guy who really wants to hurt someone. He wants to win the fight as opposed to he wants to actually like put damage on this guy. And it made me not start off the blocks as quickly as I wanted. So the first time I lost, it was very devastating because it was sort of like I'd been so well prepared. I've been been training with John Jones. I felt on top of the world, and then when it got to the fight, I just it's like I got stage fright, and I couldn't switch on quickly enough, and I got finished quite quickly. And then that's when I got signed by Cage Warriors, and they said they already saw a lot of potential in me because I beat their guy in my pro debut. Funny enough, when I was completely expected to lose, which is the running theme of my career, it seems. Always expected to lose, but yeah, then I took a fight with them, and they gave me a guy where on paper I should have won the fight, and from the looks of it, I was landing the shots, the crisps of shots. I was winning. I landed a nice spinning back kick, and then I just rushed myself, and I got caught with a right hand, and I ended up dropping 2 in a row, and then that's when I really saw that people just turned their back on me. That's when people thought, oh, he's just a hype train, or he's not that good, or but for me, as devastating as it was, it just made me want to get back in the gym even more. And there's a lot of things that have changed. One thing was nutritionally. I realized I was severely malnourished. Not only that, I was overtrained, which was not good for my body anyway. I couldn't perform to my peak because I was always overtrained, because I thought more is the best, when actually less is more. You've got to have quality training. So those were 2 big factors that I put in. So nutritionally, listen, in 1 week, I lost the same amount of weight as I used to do, eating twice as many calories. So it just shows you, nutrition is a massive, massive thing. So I sorted those. Another big thing, I think, was mentally that I needed to get over a hurdle. Skills-wise, I sort of already had a good skill set, and obviously I was still working to improve it as much as I could, but it was all mental. So how do we fix the mental part? We went and done boxing sparring. Now, if listen, in London, we have some of the best boxers in the world, and especially in these amateur clubs where these guys are literally killers. They're literally brought up from nothing, and they're trying to make it, and they're literally like rough, tough, like areas which are quite tough in London. And I met with a boxing coach that knew me since I was 3 years old, and for him to see me like 20 years down the line, it was quite crazy for all of us. He'd been training with my dad, like he's one of my dad's best friends, and then we started training like the boxing side of things. And I remember the first time I sparred, I literally got dropped like 2 times. Like I realized my cardio was off, and my skill was very good, but I wasn't being that ferocious guy that wants to knock guys out. And then slowly over time, my skill set started improving. I started sparring with the likes of Derek Chisora, who's a household name in UK boxing, and I started holding my own against these guys, and I'll start giving it back. I remember I sparred a heavyweight guy, and he was supposed to have a fight on the Saturday, and he was like, oh, I'll take it easy on you. And the next thing the shots start flying, as they always do, and then I start rocking him and stuff like that. And like even my coach was like, finish him, and I'm like, well, listen, this guy's about to have a fight on Saturday. What, you want me to spark him out? But I've always been like the sportsman-like thing, but I reckon the boxing sparring gave me that aggressiveness that I needed to like go and finish guys and just not care. And I know it sounds so bad, but that's what I needed, because then when I came back another thing as well. So imagine I was in the best shape of my life. I took literally about 7 months off, and then Cage Warriors said, we'll give you a fight in the new year. And the next thing I tear my meniscus, and I got injured. And my sponsor at the time decided not to work with me anymore. Literally just left. So I had no money, I had no job. The girlfriend that I've been with for 5 years split up with me. Was that rock bottom? Was that right when you knew like I can only go up from here? This is like the moments in life that I'm gonna be tested. I think at that time, so I literally just got in the best shape of my life. I'm ready to go and like kill someone in the cage, like really like go and absolutely put a beating on someone. And the next thing everything just hits me in one go. I wouldn't say I was looking up at that point. Like there was many a time where, we managed to get the operation done in February. So then, that's when the recovery started. But, breaking up with a girlfriend that you've been with for 5 years and you realize that she didn't really care about your career at all was very hard to take for me. And how she moved on so quickly as well was another hard thing for me to take as well. Yeah. Losing a sponsor to where now you've got no job and no money, and you've literally been left in the dust, and now you have to figure out how to get an operation done. Again, like I said, having no money, it was literally just all hit me all at once. Lost 2 in a row. Like I was just ready to get back. Like I thought I was literally just asking God every day. I'm like, why is this happening to me? Like, I've been trying to live my life morally the best way possible. I've been doing everything I can to do everything the right way, and now it's almost like I'm getting punished for it. Like, what's going on here? Like, especially a top prospect, and then going back down to where everyone just forgot about me. Everyone just thought, well, he's gone now. That's it. He's fell off the map, thinking I'll never come back, pretty much. But then, luckily, I have an amazing, strong family around me. I've got my dad, who's like my head coach, my best friend. I've got my stepmom, I've got my sister. I had all the people around me, and really close friends, always telling me and picking me back up and telling me, Modestas, you're going to get through this. Once I had the operation, there's a lot of tough times in getting through the physio and stuff like that. But slowly, I saw little victories being made every single day, and we slowly worked our way back up. And at the time, I mean, listen, Cage Warriors wanted nothing to do with me. And funny enough, I still had 4 fights left on my contract, and, there was no answers. So how do we get their attention? We take a kickboxing fight. I knocked the guy out with spinning back kick in literally, I think, 20 seconds. And then I called them out. And then next thing you know, they got us a fight. So, everything I think slowly as things started getting better, that's when I made little victories. That's what kept me motivated and kept me going, and brought me to the top again. Was made little victories all the time, improving my skill set, improving everything. And with the knowledge that I had from the last year, I just implemented it the next year, and then things just started, going on a roller coaster on the way up. But I've had so many, so much adversity that I've already had to face that, really I've just become conditioned to it and accustomed to it, that I'm like, okay, throw something else at me. At the end of the day, it's now hard to break me, because I've had things which, literally, you'll be crying in my room, thinking, really bad thoughts and stuff like that. Trying to get myself back really took a lot. So like I said, I'm glad that I've got, good people around me. I think that's another big thing. If I not had those people around me, who knows if I would ever came back. So I had to prove a lot of people wrong. I mean, listen, even when I went on a massive streak and, won 3 fights in a row after coming back in MMA, won the Fight Star Championship belt, still no one gave a crap about me. And then we were like to Cage Warriors, listen, give us some tough fights now. And then that's when I went on a massive run and, finally got my UFC call. But, mate, it's been an absolute roller coaster. Let me tell you. And I know there's going to be even more so, whenever the UFC career starts kicking off.
So you're in Cage Warriors. You finally start getting someone's attention. You're picking off guy by guy by guy. You get this streak. You finally hit this point. Tell me about the night that you found out you were going to be signed to the UFC.
It was mad. So, again, on paper, the Wojciech fight and the Hamlet fight, I literally was a massive underdog. I should have lost. It almost seemed like, oh yeah, we'll give him a tough fight, and then they all thought I was going to lose, and then next thing you know, I'll go and knock him out in the second round. Then there was Hamlet, who again on paper everyone's like, oh yeah, he's going to UFC Copenhagen, blah, 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 talking as if he's already won the fight. And then next thing you know, I beat him in the 4th round, and that was probably the fight where I felt the most euphoria and really intense excitement and all the visualization coming true. That was the biggest victory, I think, for me. Nasilia was a really good victory as well, because a very tough opponent, but at the same time I sort of didn't feel the same things I did when I first won the belt. At that point I'm like, listen, I'm ready for the UFC now. And then, do you know what, funny, I had a lot of conversations with my manager, Jason, amazing manager, the whole management team, sports agency, they've done a really good job. I basically kept on nagging him. I felt like I kept nagging him. I'm like, what's happening next? What are we going to do? And he's like, listen, don't worry, the time will come and blah, blah, blah. So it was in our head that we were either going to go to the Contender Series or get a last-minute replacement fight on UFC London. And then, that was sort of where we were going towards. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep training, keep trying to get better. Literally not even thinking that a phone call would come, thinking, okay, I'll get my way on the UFC by getting on the Contender Series. And then next thing you know, it was 1 at 3 in the morning or something. I went to go and take, my morning usual routine piss. And then next thing you know, I come back to my, I come back to the room, check my phone, see that I had a load of missed calls from my manager. I'm like, what could he want me about? Obviously I understand American time difference, but I thought, what could it, what's this all about? And I was really thinking to leave it to the morning before, I might as well just call him now. And the next thing you know, he goes, how you doing? How you feeling? I'm like, it's a little bit early. I haven't been able to sleep much lately, but, we're all good. I'll go, so what's up? He goes, how do you feel about fighting in the UFC? I'm like, and I literally said like, wow. I must have said wow for like the next 7 minutes. Like I was literally like a parrot. I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, no way. Like it was crazy. But at the same time, it was like, I knew that it was going to happen. Like I knew this was the next logical step for me. This is where I wanted to be. And now for it to happen, I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. But when it finally happened, it was almost like, damn, I can't believe it. Now I can finally call myself a UFC fighter. Like this is something I've been working towards literally like my whole career. And like with all this adversity and all these setbacks and all these people doubting me, and now I've finally made it. It's like I've already started proving a lot of people wrong, even just from getting signed. And then, I woke up obviously, and then I finished the phone call with him. I waited a couple of minutes and, woke my dad up and told him the news. And he literally smiled from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat. He was completely ecstatic. But at the same time, he saw, again, for him, it was like, oh, we knew this was going to happen. So for both of us, it's like there was a lot of excitement and a lot of pride in our work. But at the same time, I've been working my ass off for this. So I knew it was bound to happen at some point. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. But, when it did happen, obviously it was a crazy feeling, and I'll never forget it.
And so now, making your UFC debut, fans, there's two sides of having a bunch of fans as a guy making his debut. They can help you a lot because, the emotions and like the crowd, but at the same time, it puts a lot more pressure on you. How do you feel about making your UFC debut without any fans?
I feel there's no pressure. I feel this is like going back to those Brazil days where, I'm in a cage or in a room with like a couple fighters and a couple of coaches, and then there's just two of you in there like literally going to smack the hell out of each other in a quiet room. So I've been in those situations before. Of course, I'd love to fight in a crowd, but at the end of the day, I know that the whole world's watching. Like, and at the end of the day, that just makes me embrace it even more. Like that makes me enjoy the whole experience. Like you're now going on TV to show your skill set, and everyone is watching because there's no other sporting events about. So for me, that brings even more like, I don't know, even more sense of urgency, more excitement, more passion, and like, for me, like, obviously a lot of people are expecting me to win and stuff like that, but I'm like, well, this is it. There's a reason why I'm expected to win, because I got to go out there and do the business. I'm training extremely hard. Like I'm training as if this guy is the best fighter in the world, and that's exactly what I'm going in there to do. I'm going in there to completely negate all of his offense and put my offense on him. At the end of the day, I've this ruthless sort of attitude and like, the kind of the sort of like the deadly aggressive sort of side of me is going to come out, because this is now the side of my fighting that I come out with. I don't fight with, of course you've got to be a sportsman, and after the fight's over, of course I'll be respectful, but during the fight it is kill or be killed. I need to hurt someone. So I think with that mentality in mind, it's gonna bring out the best in me, and I know he's gonna be fighting for his life. So this is my time to go and literally put him away.
Yeah, I mean, once again, July 15th, Abu Dhabi. I cannot wait. Another question I have for you: is there a specific memory that you have in your career that you would say is your favorite fight of all time in your career, for you personally?
100%, I'll say it's the Hamlet fight. Like I said, there's just a lot going into that fight. That was the first fight I really started visualizing. That's the first time I really did like a vision board. I mean, listen, I'll even grab this photo here, actually. I'll grab it here. But basically, I can't show you everything because Jones actually wrote his number down, so I can't show everything.
Let's leave that off the camera.
But I don't know if you can see it. All right, let me try and turn this around. Yeah, I don't even know how you do this. I'm trying to do it. There you go. So if you can see, like, this, I went to see John Jones at the Body Power Expo, and, the present and the future, he signed it. I had the belt. I said what round, I was going to finish him in and stuff like that. I said, you know, I wrote down my prediction on there, and funny enough, it says right there. I don't know if like I said, 347. I said, and then next thing you know, I knocked him out in 356. I think in the 4th round. If that's close enough of a prediction for you, obviously I said on there it was round 2, but you know, still the time thing that I thought was like really crazy. So going into that fight, I had a lot of fans come and watch me, like, you know, a lot of support, a lot of friends and family. I told them this was the biggest fight of my life, and you know, I had a lot of support for that fight. There was a lot going into it because I was such a massive underdog. No one gave me a chance, and then, you know, for me to win that fight, like the feelings afterwards, like I literally been visualizing it every single day, and like for it to come true, like it's almost like it was mad, like because I was very confident in my abilities and I knew I could do it. It was just a case of bloody hell, now it's real. Now it's like sitting here right in front of my face. Like I like never like I could have lost that fight and then that's it. Like, you know, really, it's good. It would have took me another long, and then Hamlet would have went to the UFC. Like, things could have turned out so differently. But the fact that it turned out everything, you know, God's always helping me. He's always supporting me. My dad's always supporting me, and you know, trying to get me to the top. That fight, literally afterwards, I'd never felt feelings like that before. Like literally, the amount of happiness and you know, like relief that, you know, now I've done it, and like that was one of the only fights where I really went out and actually partied hard. Like literally, as soon as I saw my friends and family afterwards, they were like, "Oh, so what are you gonna do now?" I'm like, "I'm about to go get drunk off my nut and like, you know, go bust out some moves on the dance floor. That's what I'm gonna do." So and it was crazy just seeing all my like close friends and like people that mean a lot to me that were there, and like, you know, I had a lot of messages from people saying, "Modestas, I'm inspired from you coming back," like stuff like that. So yeah, that fight for me was the biggest highlight of my career to date, because like I say, there's a lot going into it, and people already had brushed me to the side, and now people are talking about me, and you know, now I just want to continue putting on amazing performances for everyone, putting on entertaining fights, and go and really start creating my legacy.
So we've reached the highs, we've reached the lows of your career. We're now almost at who knows where, getting ready for your debut. I'm out of official questions about your career, but I do have some questions for the fans to get a little bit to know about you more, a little speed round. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. What is the largest mammal you think you can knock out with your leg kick?
With a leg kick? Bloody hell. I could knock out a bear with a leg kick.
A bear? That's a big one. Most people go for like, you know, the llamas or something that's like more reasonable. A bear's a big one.
Give me a bear, man. I don't know if you've seen these legs, bro, but I'll be able to throw out an axe on him. Throw him to me.
What's your worst interaction you've ever had on social media? Just like someone that you just could not even deal with, even to the point where it just frustrated you? Because social media can get a little hectic.
Yeah, it can. To be honest, like when some people like message like saying, like, you know, you get a couple, like you get all these like really nice messages, and then you get some message where they're just like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get your ass knocked out," or this or that. It's just annoying. It's just like sometimes I just laugh at it. But I remember there was one time, like I think it was like, you know, it was some guy who literally, like, you know, he wasn't even like that great in his own fighting career, and he was like trying to say about me. I'm like, just shut the hell up, man. I'm going out here and do my business. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't really pinpoint an exact one, but yeah, it's always been someone who's trying to rain on your parade, basically.
Yeah. Your biggest celebrity crush?
Biggest celebrity crush?
The one you'll always be starstruck by.
Do you know what? I can picture her in my head.
Oh.
I don't know the name. How the hell do I not? Jessica Alba, that's the one.
Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people watching for your debut. You never know. You never know if she's...
I mean, listen, bro, I've got a girlfriend, so, I mean, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've got a good enough girl out there, but, I mean, listen, a cheeky photo or two obviously wouldn't be a problem, would it?
What's your favorite hobbies outside of MMA when you're just trying to relax, enjoy a day, you know, not worrying about fighting?
I ain't going to lie to you, mate. I know this sounds so crazy, but I actually really just enjoy watching Netflix, so watching like a series or whatever, and just eating a load of chocolate.
Yeah.
Like, if I've got like if my weight's good or whatever, and like, you know, I'm not too worried about it, or, you know, I haven't got a fight coming up or whatever, and I'm still training in camp, mate, literally that is my time. Like, no one disturbs me when I'm sitting in front of a screen of Netflix with mate, I'm talking, I could put it down, I'll tell you that. Like, I've not been able to eat as much, admittedly, as like I've gotten a little bit older, but oh my gosh, I can put it away. Like, just ask my family. I'm like literally the sweet tooth king. So yeah, that's my hobby. Basically stuffing myself with chocolate watching Netflix.
So I'm out of questions. We'll leave it with one last thing. I need a message to everyone out there that to this day is still doubting you. Every single person that doesn't want to see you succeed. What would you like to say to them?
Listen, all you people that are out there still doubting me, all those people that still think that I'm not going to go and achieve nothing, you just sit there and keep watching, because I'm about to go out and explode onto the scene. You lot may not have been talking about me before, but trust me, especially after this debut and after this run I'm going to have, you lot are going to know about me. You lot are going to know who is Modestas Bukauskas.
And don't worry, everyone at Daily Fantasy Fire is well aware. We're all on your team. We cannot wait. Thank you for coming on the podcast. This was a great interview.
Thank you.
I hope we can have another one after your first performance.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Nice one, brother.